Marcus Chen pressed his face against the transport window and watched Kepler Station grow larger. The massive space station looked like a metal city floating among the stars. Hundreds of ships from different worlds docked at its ports. This was the Galactic Military Academy, and Marcus was about to become one of its newest students. His hands were sweating as he clutched his acceptance letter. Only 3 humans had been chosen for the Tactical Command program this year. Marcus still could not believe he was one of them. Back on Earth, his test scores had been good enough to get him noticed. Now he wondered if that would be enough. The transport docked with a soft bump. Marcus grabbed his bag and followed the other new students through the airlock. The first thing that hit him was how different everyone looked. There were tall, gray-skinned aliens with large black eyes. Bug-like creatures with multiple arms walked on 6 legs. Plant people with green skin and leaves for hair moved slowly but gracefully. Marcus felt very small and very human. A tall alien with purple skin and silver markings stood at the entrance. She wore the uniform of a commander. Her voice was crisp and clear when she spoke. "Welcome to the Galactic Military Academy. I am Commander Zex High. You are the finest military minds from across the galaxy. For the next 2 years, you will learn to command fleets and win wars. Some of you will succeed, others will not." Her eyes seemed to pause on Marcus for just a moment longer than the others. The first week was harder than Marcus had expected. His classmates were not just smart, they were incredibly smart. The Xanthari students could memorize entire textbooks after reading them once. Their gray skin would shimmer slightly when they were thinking hard, processing information faster than any computer Marcus had ever seen. Yithara was the best of them. She was tall and thin like all Xanthari, but her silver markings were brighter than the others. During their first strategy class, she solved a complex battle problem in her head while the professor was still explaining it. When Marcus tried to follow her logic, his head started to hurt. The insect-like klaxon students were just as impressive. They could think about multiple battle scenarios at the same time. Marcus watched in amazement as one of them, Chkreek, worked on 6 different tactical problems during a single lesson. His compound eyes moved independently, tracking different parts of the holographic display. Then there were the Verdani, the plant people. They looked delicate with their green skin and leafy hair, but their minds worked in ways Marcus could not understand. They could see patterns in data that others missed completely. Katesh, one of the younger Verdani, often knew the answer to problems before the professors finished asking the question. Marcus struggled with everything. The mathematics of space combat made his brain feel like it was melting. There were formulas for calculating weapon ranges in 3-dimensional space, equations for predicting where enemy ships would be based on their current speed and direction, complex probability charts that showed the best times to attack or retreat. During his second week, Marcus failed his first major test. The problem seemed simple enough. Plan an attack on an enemy base using 3 small ships. But the solution required understanding 17 different variables, including gravity effects from nearby planets, fuel consumption rates, and weapon recharge times. Marcus had tried his best. He drew diagrams and worked through the math step by step. But when he submitted his answer, it was completely wrong. Not just a little wrong. Completely. Embarrassingly wrong. Yithara finished the same test in 15 minutes and scored perfectly. She looked at Marcus with something that might have been pity. "The human mind," she said to her Xanthari friends, loud enough for Marcus to hear, "processes information very slowly. Perhaps they are better suited for simpler tasks." The other alien students nodded in agreement. Marcus felt his face turn red, but he said nothing. Commander Zex High called Marcus to her office after the 3rd failed test. Her office was neat and organized, with battle medals from 12 different campaigns displayed on the walls. She gestured for Marcus to sit in the chair across from her desk. "Cadet Chen," she said, looking at his test scores on her computer screen. "Your performance has been concerning." Marcus stared at his hands. "I know, Commander. I'm trying my best." "Are you?" Her black eyes studied him carefully. "Your species was admitted to this academy as an experiment. Earth is new to galactic civilization. Perhaps we were too optimistic about human capabilities." The words hit Marcus like a punch to the stomach. "I can do better, Commander. I just need more time to." "Time is not something we have in abundance," Cadet. Commander Zexhai leaned back in her chair. In real combat, you have seconds to make decisions that affect thousands of lives. If you cannot master these basic concepts in a classroom, how can you be trusted with an actual command? Marcus wanted to argue. But what could he say? The facts spoke for themselves. He was failing every major test, while his classmates excelled. Maybe she was right. Maybe humans did not belong here. I will give you one more chance, Commander Zexhai continued. The live fire exercises are in 6 weeks. If you cannot demonstrate significant improvement by then, you will be removed from the program. Marcus nodded and left her office feeling defeated. That night, he sat in the station's observation deck and looked out at the stars. Earth was somewhere out there, too far away to see. He thought about his parents, who had been so proud when he was accepted. He thought about all the humans who were counting on him to prove they belonged among the galactic powers. Katesh found him there an hour later. The young Verdani settled beside him on the bench, his leafy hair rustling softly. You look troubled, Marcus. I'm going to fail, Marcus said simply. Everyone was right. Humans aren't smart enough for this. Katesh was quiet for a moment. You think differently than we do, he said finally. That does not make you less intelligent. It makes you unique. Unique doesn't pass tests. Perhaps, Katesh said. But unique might be exactly what the galaxy needs. Marcus did not know what his friend meant, but the words gave him a small spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was something he could offer that the others could not. He just had to figure out what that was. The next morning, Marcus returned to his studies with new determination. He might not be the smartest student in his class, but he was not ready to give up yet. The weeks passed quickly, and Marcus's situation got worse instead of better. Every morning, he woke up hoping that somehow the complex battle formulas would finally make sense. Every evening, he went to bed feeling more confused than before. His latest test score was a disaster. While studying fleet formation tactics, Marcus had mixed up the mathematical symbols for plasma weapons and laser cannons. His battle plan called for ships to fire their most powerful weapons at the exact moment they would be out of range. Yithara had solved the same problem perfectly, creating an elegant attack pattern that maximized damage while minimizing risk. During the strategy seminar that morning, Professor Haldim displayed both solutions on the main screen. The alien professor's tentacles waved in what Marcus had learned was amusement. Here we see two approaches to the same tactical problem, Professor Haldim said. Cadet Yithara's solution demonstrates mathematical precision and strategic excellence. Cadet Chen's solution. The professor paused. Well, it demonstrates the importance of checking one's calculations. The class erupted in what passed for laughter among the different species. The Zenthari made soft clicking sounds. The klaxon buzzed their wings. Even the usually quiet Verdani rustled their leaves in amusement. Yithara raised her hand. Professor, if I may ask a question? Of course, Cadet. Is it wise to continue allowing students who clearly cannot grasp basic concepts to remain in advanced classes? Their presence slows down the learning process for those of us who are actually capable. Marcus felt every eye in the room turn toward him. His face burned with embarrassment. But he forced himself to sit straight and look ahead. He would not give them the satisfaction of seeing him break. That is a fair question, Cadet Yithara, Professor Haldim replied. The Academy's policy is to evaluate all students fairly, regardless of species. However, academic standards must be maintained. After class, Marcus hurried toward the library, hoping to avoid his classmates. But Yithara caught up with him in the corridor. Several other Zenthari students followed her. Chen, she called out. Wait. Marcus stopped and turned around, even though he really did not want to talk to her. I wanted to speak with you, Yithara said. Her voice was not cruel, but it was not kind either. I understand that your species is new to galactic civilization. Perhaps you do not fully understand what is expected here. I understand perfectly, Marcus replied. Do you? Yithara stepped closer. This academy produces the finest military commanders in the galaxy. Lives depend on the decisions we make. Entire planets can be saved or destroyed based on tactical knowledge. One of the other Zenthari students nodded. The human mind simply cannot process information at the speed required for modern space combat. It is not your fault. But it is reality. Maybe, another added, humans would be better suited for support roles. Engineering, perhaps. Or basic infantry positions. Marcus clenched his fists but kept his voice steady. My species fought wars for thousands of years before we met any of you. We know something about tactics. Yithara's silver markings brightened slightly. Fighting with primitive weapons on a single planet is very different from commanding starships across multiple star systems. The computational requirements alone. I know the computational requirements are difficult, Marcus interrupted. But that doesn't mean I can't learn. Your test scores suggest otherwise, Yithara said simply. Perhaps it would be kinder for everyone if you accepted this reality now, rather than failing publicly during the live-fire exercises. The group of Zenthari students walked away, leaving Marcus standing alone in the corridor. Their words echoed in his mind. Maybe they were right. Maybe he was fooling himself. That evening, Marcus sat in the academy's cafeteria, picking at his food without really eating it. The cafeteria was huge, designed to accommodate dozens of different species with their various dietary needs. Most students sat with their own kind. The Zenthari occupied several tables near the windows, discussing battle strategies in their rapid, clicking language. The Klaxon students hung from special ceiling perches, sharing information through complex pheromone exchanges. The Verdani gathered around growing lamps that provided them with extra nutrition. Marcus usually sat by himself, but tonight Katesh joined him. The young Verdani placed a small potted plant on the table and settled into his chair. You seem troubled, my friend, Katesh said. The midterm evaluations are next week, Marcus replied. I'm ranked 48th out of 50 students. If I finish below 40th place after the live-fire exercises, I'm out of the program. Katesh's leafy hair drooped slightly. That is concerning. Everyone keeps telling me that humans aren't smart enough for this. Maybe they're right. Intelligence takes many forms, Katesh said thoughtfully. My people have studied this for centuries. We process information through our root networks, connecting with the living systems around us. The Zenthari use pure computational power. The Klaxon think in swarm patterns. Each species has developed different ways of understanding the universe. One other difference. End quote. And humans? I do not know yet, Katesh admitted. But I have observed you during our philosophical discussions. You think about problems in ways that surprise me. You see connections that others miss. By can those miss? Marcus shook his head. That doesn't help me pass tactical theory exams. Perhaps not, Katesh agreed. But it might help with something more important. Before Marcus could ask what he meant, an announcement echoed through the cafeteria. Admiral Torvek's voice was clear and authoritative. All tactical command students report to main assembly hall immediately for an important announcement. The students filed into the massive assembly hall. Admiral Torvek stood on the central platform. Her forearms crossed behind her back. She was a Quellian, one of the founding species of the Galactic Alliance. Her purple skin was marked with the scars of countless battles. Cadets, she began. The live-fire exercises will commence in exactly 14 days. These exercises will test everything you have learned during your time at this academy. You will command actual starships in simulated combat scenarios. The hall was completely silent. Marcus felt his heart pounding. The scenario is as follows, Admiral Torvek continued. Each of you will command a frigate-class vessel with a mixed crew of instructors and advanced AI systems. Your mission is to defend a civilian convoy from a superior pirate force using only standard tactical resources. She paused, looking out over the assembled students. Let me be clear about the stakes. Any cadet who fails to demonstrate acceptable tactical competence will be immediately removed from the program. There are no second chances. Marcus's stomach dropped. 14 days, to somehow master everything he had been failing at for months. The exercises will take place in the Sigma Draconis asteroid field, Admiral Torvek added. Real space, real ships, real consequences. The only difference is that the weapons are non-lethal, but the tactical decisions you make will be evaluated as if lives truly hung in the balance. As the students filed out of the assembly hall, Marcus heard Ythara talking to her friends. 14 days should be sufficient to finalize our tactical approaches, she said confidently. The asteroid field variables are well documented. With proper mathematical modeling, the optimal solution should be clear. Marcus wished he shared her confidence. As he walked back to his dormitory, he tried to imagine himself commanding a real starship in combat. The thought terrified him, but somewhere deep inside, a small voice whispered that maybe, just maybe, real combat might be different from classroom theory, and maybe that difference was exactly what he needed. Marcus stared at the frigate through the observation window of the transport ship. The UGS Defender looked powerful and dangerous, floating in space. Its hull was dark gray with weapon ports along both sides. This was going to be his ship for the live fire exercise. The past 2 weeks had been a blur of desperate studying. Marcus had memorized every battle formation in the Academy database. He knew the firing range of every weapon type and the shield capacity of every ship class, but when he tried to put it all together in his mind, the numbers became a confusing mess. His test scores had not improved. If anything, they had gotten worse as the pressure mounted. Yesterday, he had failed a simple calculation about plasma torpedo trajectories so badly that Professor Haldim had asked if he was feeling ill. Now, as Marcus prepared to board his first real command, he felt like he was walking toward his own execution. Commander Zexhai met him at the airlock of the Defender. She wore full combat armor instead of her usual academy uniform. Her expression was unreadable. "Cadet Chen," she said formally, "I will be serving as your tactical advisor for this exercise. However, you are in command. All final decisions are yours to make." Marcus nodded, trying to look more confident than he felt. "I understand, Commander." They walked through the ship's corridors. The Defender was smaller than Marcus had expected, but everything looked efficient and deadly. Crew members moved quickly between stations, preparing for the exercise. Most of them were Academy instructors, experienced officers who had volunteered to serve under student commanders. The bridge was compact but impressive. The main display screen showed a three-dimensional map of the Sigma Draconis asteroid field. Thousands of space rocks drifted in slow, complex patterns. Navigation lanes were marked in blue. The convoy route was highlighted in green. Marcus took his seat in the captain's chair. It felt too big for him, like he was a child pretending to be an adult. Around him, the bridge crew took their positions. Lieutenant Ross, a human instructor who served as the ship's tactical officer, gave him an encouraging nod. "All stations report ready, Captain," Commander Zexhai said. Marcus realized she was talking to him. "Thank you, Commander," Marcus replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "Open a channel to the convoy." The main screen flickered and showed Captain Delmar, a Verdani merchant who was commanding the lead civilian ship. His leafy hair was darker than Katesh's, and his expression looked worried. "Academy vessel?" Captain Delmar said. "We are grateful for your protection. Our ships are not equipped for combat. If pirates attack, we will rely completely on your tactical expertise." Marcus's mouth felt dry. "We'll keep you safe, Captain. Please maintain course and speed according to your flight plan." The channel closed. Commander Zexhai leaned closer to Marcus's chair. "Cadet," she said quietly. "Intelligence reports suggest the pirate force consists of 5 attack vessels and 1 heavy cruiser. They significantly outgun us. Academy doctrine recommends a defensive formation using the asteroids as cover. Have you prepared your tactical response?" Marcus looked at the mission briefing on his personal display. The optimal solution, according to every textbook he had studied, required a complex, 3-phase maneuver. First, position the frigate at point Alpha 7 to maximize weapon coverage. Second, coordinate with the convoy ships to create overlapping fields of fire. Third, execute a fighting withdrawal to point Beta 3 if the pirates press their attack. It was elegant, mathematically perfect, and completely logical. Marcus had memorized every step. But as he stared at the real asteroid field on the main screen, something felt wrong. The asteroids were not behaving like the neat diagrams in his textbooks. They tumbled and rotated in unpredictable ways. Some were made of metal-rich ore that would interfere with sensors. Others were just chunks of ice that could shatter if hit by weapons fire. The convoy ships were not maintaining perfect formation either. Captain Delmar's ship was drifting slightly off course, and two of the smaller transports were having trouble keeping up. "Contact on sensors," Lieutenant Ross announced. 6 vessels approaching from the inner asteroid field. Configuration matches known pirate attack patterns. Marcus's heart started racing. This was really happening. In a few minutes, he would be in actual combat, commanding a real warship with real people depending on his decisions. On the tactical display, the enemy ships appeared as red dots moving through the asteroid field. They were fast, darting between the space rocks like predators stalking prey. The lead ship was much larger than the others, the heavy cruiser that intelligence had warned about. "Cadet," Commander HFY said urgently. "You must issue orders now. The pirates will be in weapons range in 3 minutes." Marcus opened his mouth to give the first command from the textbook solution. "Move to position Alpha 7. Begin defensive formation pattern Delta," but the words would not come. Something about the pirate ship's movement bothered him. They were not following the attack patterns he had studied. Instead of approaching in a neat formation, they were weaving through the asteroids in what looked like random directions. It reminded him of something, but he could not quite remember what. "Captain?" Lieutenant Ross was looking at him with concern. "Orders, sir?" Marcus stared at the tactical display. The pirates were getting closer. According to his training, he should already be moving into position, but his instincts were telling him something different. The way the pirates moved reminded him of hunting dogs his grandfather had trained back on Earth. They did not attack in straight lines or perfect formations. They circled their prey, looking for weakness, waiting for the right moment to strike. "Sir," Commander HFY said sharply, "you must act now." Marcus suddenly realized what was bothering him about the textbook solution. It assumed the pirates would attack exactly as the Academy models predicted. But these pirates were not following Academy models. They were acting like real predators, and that changed everything. "All stop," Marcus said suddenly. The bridge crew looked surprised. Commander HFY's markings flashed brighter. "Cadet, that is not the recommended." "I said all stop," Marcus repeated. "Cut engines and drift." Lieutenant Ross carried out the order, but Marcus could see confusion on his face. This was definitely not in any textbook. "Cadet Chen," Commander HFY said coldly, "explain your tactical reasoning." Marcus watched the pirate ships on the display. They were still weaving through the asteroids, but their movement had changed slightly. They were reacting to his unexpected stop, adjusting their approach. "They're hunting us," Marcus said slowly. "This is highly irregular," Commander HFY warned. "Academy doctrine exists for good reasons." Marcus nodded, but he kept watching the pirates. One of them had broken away from the main group and was trying to circle around behind the convoy. Another was moving to cut off the convoy's escape route. They were not just attacking, they were surrounding their prey. The textbook solution would have put his ship exactly where the pirates expected it to be. They had planned for a by-the-book defense. They were ready to counter every move in the Academy manual, but they were not ready for something completely different. "Signal the convoy," Marcus said. "Tell them to change course 15 degrees starboard and increase speed." "Sir," Lieutenant Ross said hesitantly, "that will take them closer to the pirates." "I know," Marcus replied. His mind was racing, but not with mathematical formulas. Instead, he was thinking about patterns and instincts, and the kind of cunning that came from thousands of years of human warfare. The pirates thought they were hunting defenseless merchants, protected by a single Academy ship. They expected fear, panic, and textbook responses. Marcus smiled grimly. Time to show them how wrong they were. The pirate ships reacted exactly as Marcus had expected. When the convoy changed course and moved closer to them, the pirates hesitated. Their neat attack formation wavered as they tried to adjust to the unexpected move. They're confused, Marcus said, more to himself than anyone else. They planned for us to run away. Commander HFY's silver markings were flashing rapidly. Cadet, you are putting the convoy in unnecessary danger. We should establish a defensive perimeter and, helm, set course directly for the largest asteroid cluster, Marcus interrupted. Full speed. Lieutenant Ross looked shocked. Sir, that cluster is extremely dense. Navigation will be nearly impossible at high speed. That's the point, Marcus replied. He was starting to feel something he had never experienced before, a strange confidence that had nothing to do with textbook knowledge. Pirates need clear lines of sight to coordinate their attacks. In that asteroid cluster, they'll have to fight us one ship at a time. The Defender accelerated toward the tumbling mass of space rocks. On the tactical display, Marcus could see the pirates scrambling to respond. Their careful hunting formation was breaking apart as they tried to intercept his unexpected course. Signal the convoy, Marcus ordered. Tell them to follow us into the cluster but stay close together. If anyone falls behind, they're on their own. It was a harsh choice, but Marcus knew the pirates would pick off any stragglers. Better to save most of the convoy than lose everyone trying to protect the slowest ships. The first pirate vessel came at them from the left, trying to cut off their approach to the asteroids. It was a fast attack ship, with powerful forward weapons. According to Academy doctrine, Marcus should have turned to present his ship's strongest shields and engaged in a long-range gun battle. Instead, Marcus did something that made Commander HFY gasp in shock. Ramming speed, he ordered. Straight at them. The bridge crew hesitated for just a moment before carrying out the command. The Defender surged forward on a collision course with the pirate ship. Cadet, Commander HFY said urgently, this is suicide. Marcus watched the distance close on his display. The pirate ship was firing now, its plasma bolts lighting up the space between them. The Defender's shields flared as they absorbed the hits. They'll break first, Marcus said calmly. Pirates don't want to die for their cause. They want to steal cargo and run away. At the last possible second, the pirate ship turned aside. Marcus had been counting on their survival instinct. Pirates were bullies who preyed on weak targets. They were not prepared for someone crazy enough to ram them head-on. Fire all weapons as we pass, Marcus ordered. The Defender's guns opened up on the pirate ship at point-blank range. The enemy vessel's shields collapsed, and its hull cracked open. The ship tumbled away, leaking atmosphere. One down, Marcus said. 5 to go. They plunged into the asteroid cluster. The tactical display became a chaos of spinning rocks and confused radar contacts. The convoy ships followed them in, staying close together as Marcus had ordered. Behind them, the remaining pirates hesitated at the edge of the cluster. They don't want to follow us in here, Lieutenant Ross observed. Too dangerous for their ships. Marcus nodded. That's what I'm counting on. Helm, find us a good hiding spot, something with multiple escape routes. They settled into the shadow of a massive metallic asteroid. The convoy ships clustered around them, using the Defender as a shield. For a few minutes, everything was quiet except for the soft pinging of smaller rocks against their hull. Then the pirates made their move. 2 attack ships came at them from different directions, weaving between the asteroids. They were good pilots, Marcus had to admit. But they were thinking like pirates, not like warriors. They're trying to surround us, Commander HFY pointed out. Standard pincer movement. I know, Marcus replied, but they're making a mistake. They assume we'll stay here and fight defensively. Marcus studied the tactical display. But he was not looking at the pirate ships. He was looking at the asteroids around them, seeing possibilities that no Academy textbook had ever covered. Lieutenant Ross, target that cluster of ice asteroids at bearing 27 Mark IV. Minimum power. Just enough to crack them. Sir, do it. The Defender's guns fired at low power. The ice asteroids shattered, creating a cloud of frozen debris between them and one of the approaching pirate ships. The cloud expanded rapidly, blocking sensors and creating a navigation hazard. Now we move, Marcus said. Take us through the debris cloud at full speed. Captain, Lieutenant Ross said nervously, We can't see through that cloud either. We don't need to see, Marcus replied. We know where we're going. They don't. The defender plunged into the debris cloud. Ice chunks bounced off their shields as they accelerated through the frozen maze. Marcus was gambling that the pirates would not expect such a reckless move. He was right. They burst out of the debris cloud directly behind the first pirate ship. The enemy had no warning. The defender's guns opened fire at close range, and the pirate ship exploded in a flash of orange light. 2 down, Marcus said. The second pirate ship tried to retreat, but Marcus was not finished. He had noticed something about the way these pirates fought. They were individually skilled, but they did not work well as a team. Each captain was looking out for himself. Signal the remaining pirates on an open channel, Marcus ordered. Sir? Lieutenant Ross looked confused. Do it. The communication system crackled to life. Marcus could hear multiple pirate voices arguing with each other in their harsh language. They were already starting to blame each other for the failed attack. This is Captain Chen, of the UGS Defender, Marcus said calmly. 2 of your ships are gone. Your attack has failed. I'm giving you 1 chance to surrender. There was a moment of shocked silence. Then, one of the pirate captains started laughing. Surrender? You are outnumbered 4-1, Academy boy. We will pick you apart. Maybe, Marcus replied. But ask yourself this. I just destroyed 2 of your ships without taking any serious damage. How many more of you do I need to kill before the rest decide this job isn't worth it? The pirate communications channel erupted in angry voices. Marcus smiled as he listened to them argue. Some wanted to press the attack. Others were already talking about retreat. Fear was spreading through their ranks like a virus. That was when the pirate heavy cruiser finally made its move. The massive ship came at them from above, using a large asteroid as cover until the last moment. It was 3 times the size of the Defender and packed with heavy weapons. This was not a ship that could be intimidated or outmaneuvered. Now we have a real fight, Marcus said quietly. Commander Zexhai looked at the tactical display with obvious concern. Cadet, that cruiser outguns us 10-1. Recommend immediate withdrawal. Unquote. Marcus studied the approaching cruiser. It was powerful, but it was also slow and bulky. The kind of ship that relied on raw firepower rather than clever tactics. Helm, Marcus said. Take us deeper into the asteroid field. Make them follow us. Sir, our ship isn't designed for close-quarters maneuvering. Neither is theirs, Marcus replied. But we're smaller and faster. In this maze of rocks, that matters more than raw firepower. The Defender dove deeper into the asteroid cluster. Behind them, the heavy cruiser followed. Its massive guns lighting up space as it tried to get a clear shot. But the asteroids provided cover, and Marcus kept them moving. He was not just running away. He was leading the cruiser exactly where he wanted it to go. There, Marcus said, pointing at the tactical display. That asteroid has a hollow core, probably an old mining site. How can you tell? Commander Zexhai asked. The way it's tumbling, Marcus replied. The mass distribution is wrong for a solid rock. He was making decisions based on instinct now, seeing patterns that he could not explain mathematically. It felt natural, like he was finally using the part of his brain that had been waiting for a real fight. Take us into that hollow, Marcus ordered. Sir, if we get trapped in there, trust me, Marcus said firmly. They dove into the hollow asteroid. The cruiser followed, its bulk barely fitting through the opening. Inside the hollow, the space was cramped and full of old mining equipment. Perfect for what Marcus had in mind. Now, Marcus said, fire everything we have at the mining charges. The Defender's guns targeted the explosive charges that the miners had left behind. The charges detonated in a chain reaction, bringing down huge chunks of rock from the asteroid's inner walls. The pirate cruiser was caught in the rockfall. Its shields collapsed under the impact of massive stone fragments. The ship's hull cracked, and its engines failed. Marcus had turned the asteroid itself into a weapon. The pirate heavy cruiser floated dead in space. Its hull cracked open like a broken egg. Emergency lights flickered along its damaged sections as the crew abandoned ship in small escape pods. The remaining pirate vessels had already fled, their captains unwilling to face the same fate as their flagship. Marcus sat in the captain's chair, hardly believing what had just happened. Around him, the bridge crew stared at their displays in stunned silence. The tactical readout showed the complete destruction of the pirate force, with minimal damage to the defender and 0 losses among the convoy ships. "Exercise complete," came Admiral Torvek's voice over the communications system. All vessels returned to Kepler Station immediately for debriefing. Commander Zexhai turned to face Marcus. Her silver markings were still flashing rapidly, a sign of deep confusion among the Zenthari. "Cadet Chen," she said slowly, "your tactics violated every principle of space combat doctrine." "I know," Marcus replied. "Did they work?" "Obviously they worked," she said. "But I cannot explain how or why. Your approach was completely illogical." Lieutenant Ross was studying the tactical replay on his screen. "Sir, if you don't mind me asking, how did you know that asteroid was hollow? There was no indication on our sensors." Marcus thought about it for a moment. "The way it was spinning," he said finally. "It reminded me of a broken wheel I used to fix on my father's farm. When something has the wrong weight distribution, it moves differently." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Marcus could see they were trying to understand how farm equipment on Earth could possibly relate to space combat tactics. The trip back to Kepler Station passed in a blur of sensor scans and damage reports. The Defender had taken some hits from the pirate weapons, but nothing serious. The convoy ships were completely undamaged. What should have been a desperate fight for survival had turned into a one-sided victory. When they docked at the station, Marcus could see other Academy ships returning from their own exercises. Through the observation windows, he watched his classmates disembarking from their vessels. Many of them looked shaken and defeated. Others seemed satisfied but not particularly excited. None of them looked like they had just achieved something impossible. The debriefing took place in the Academy's main conference room. Admiral Torvek sat at the head of a long table, flanked by the Academy's senior instructors. A massive holographic display showed the tactical replay of every cadet's performance. One by one, the students presented their results. Yithara went first, her performance flawless as always. She had executed a perfect defensive formation, protecting the convoy while inflicting acceptable losses on the pirate force. Her mathematical precision was impressive, but the battle had been long and difficult. Chakrik, the Klaxon student, had used a complex multi-vector attack pattern that confused the pirates and scattered their formation. It was elegant and effective, though several convoy ships had suffered minor damage during the fighting. Other students had performed well or poorly, but all of them had followed recognizable tactical doctrine. Their approaches could be analyzed, understood, and graded according to established criteria. Then, it was Marcus's turn. Admiral Torvek activated the holographic replay of his battle. The assembled instructors watched in silence as Marcus's frigate charged directly at the first pirate ship, forcing it to break off its attack. They saw him lead the convoy into the dangerous asteroid field instead of establishing a defensive perimeter. They watched him use debris clouds as weapons and turn mining charges into improvised explosives. When the replay ended, the room was completely quiet. "Cadet Chen," Admiral Torvek said finally, "would you explain your tactical reasoning?" Marcus stood up, feeling every eye in the room focused on him. "Admiral, I realized that the pirates weren't following Academy doctrine either. They were acting like predators, hunting for easy prey, so I stopped thinking like a textbook and started thinking like someone who was fighting for his life." Professor Haldim's tentacles writhed nervously. "But your approach was completely unpredictable. How could you be certain it would work?" "I couldn't," Marcus admitted, "but I was certain that doing what they expected would get us all killed." Commander Zexhai leaned forward. "Cadet, you violated 17 fundamental principles of space combat. Your tactics should have resulted in disaster." "Maybe," Marcus said, "but they didn't, and that's what matters in a real fight." Admiral Torvek studied the tactical data on her personal display. "According to our sensors, you achieved the highest effectiveness rating in the Academy's 200-year history. You completely destroyed a superior enemy force without taking a single casualty." A murmur ran through the room. The other students looked shocked. Yithara's silver markings were flashing so rapidly they seemed to blur. However, Admiral Torvek continued, your methods were so unconventional that our evaluation systems cannot properly analyze them. How do we grade tactics that have no theoretical foundation? Marcus thought about this for a moment. Maybe you don't, he said. Maybe some things can't be taught from books. An older instructor, a Quellian with battle scars across his purple skin, spoke up. Admiral, if I may, I have fought in 17 major engagements across 4 decades. I have seen many brilliant tactical minds in action, but I have never seen anything like what this human cadet accomplished today. Explain, Admiral Torvek said. Every tactical system in the galaxy is based on mathematical models and logical predictions, the instructor continued. We assume that if we can calculate the optimal solution, we can win any battle. But Cadet Chen did something different. He refused to accept the limitations that our models impose. The instructor gestured to the holographic replay. When he charged that first pirate ship, our computers calculated a 97% probability of destruction, but the computers did not account for the psychological effect on the enemy. When he led the convoy into the asteroid field, our models predicted catastrophic navigation failures. But he was not navigating by mathematics. He was reading the patterns in a way that our sensors cannot measure. Admiral Torvek nodded slowly. Are you suggesting that human tactics represent a fundamentally different approach to warfare? I am suggesting, the instructor replied, that we may have been wrong about the nature of tactical intelligence. We assumed that faster computation and more complex mathematical models would always defeat simpler approaches. But what if intuition and adaptability are more valuable than pure calculation? Yithara raised her hand. Admiral, with respect, one successful exercise does not prove that human methods are superior to proven tactical doctrine. You are correct, Admiral Torvek agreed. Which is why we will be conducting further tests. She turned to Marcus. Cadet Chen, you will be transferred to a special research program. We want to understand how human tactical thinking works and whether it can be taught to other species. Marcus felt a surge of relief and excitement. Thank you, Admiral. I won't disappoint you. You already have not disappointed me, she replied. You have surprised me, which is much more valuable. As the debriefing ended and the students filed out of the conference room, Yithara approached Marcus. For the first time since he had known her, she looked uncertain. Chen, she said quietly, I owe you an apology. I believed that mathematical superiority was the only measure of tactical ability. You're still better at math than I'll ever be, Marcus replied honestly. Perhaps, she said. But you have shown me that mathematics alone is not enough. Would you be willing to teach me some of your methods? Marcus smiled. I can try. But I should warn you, it involves making a lot of decisions without knowing if they're correct. That sounds terrifying, Yithara admitted. It is, Marcus agreed. But it's also kind of exciting. Later that evening, Marcus stood in the observation deck where Katesh had found him weeks earlier. But this time, he was not looking at the stars in defeat. He was looking at them with anticipation. Katesh joined him at the window, his leafy hair rustling with satisfaction. You have found your unique contribution, the Verdani said. I guess I have, Marcus replied. Though I'm still not sure I understand it myself. Understanding is not always necessary, Katesh observed. Sometimes wisdom comes from trusting instincts that cannot be explained, Marcus nodded. For the first time since arriving at the academy, he felt like he belonged. Not because he could match his classmates in mathematical ability, but because he could offer something they could not. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not through superior technology or computational power, but through the ancient human gifts of adaptability, intuition, and the willingness to take risks when logic offered no clear path forward. And that, Marcus realized, might be exactly what the galaxy needed.